Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to create your own virtual gym or classroom using Google Slides. So the first thing you need to do is create a Google Drive folder to organize all of your resources and your pictures and things like that. So I put a picture of my gym in here. That's going to be the background for the gym. I have some Bitmoji pictures in here, and then you could add some other resources as you add content. So the first thing we'll do is go ahead and create a Google slide, and I'm going to go ahead and rename this so it says virtual gym / classroom how to. All right, and then we want to clear out this slide, so let's go ahead and delete the text boxes that are there, and we don't need to really worry about a theme. Okay, so we need to insert our background image, so you can either click and drag from your computer or from the folder. I'm just going to go to Drive right here, go to My Drive, and go down to the folder where the picture is. Click and drag that in, and now I'm going to fill the slide so that it takes up the entire thing, and that way it just looks a little bit better. And there we go. All right, from there we are going to add a transparent rectangle on top. The reason I do that is so that if somebody clicks on some of the other background space and they don't, they misclick and they don't click on a Bitmoji or another piece of equipment, it would take them to another slide in the presentation, and I don't really want them to do that so that they don't get lost. So I'm going to add a rectangle on top of this, and then we're going to link that to the slide so that if they do click outside, it'll just kind of keep them in the same spot. All right, so comes up, it's not transparent, so we need to go up to the paint bucket and click transparent. And let's just make sure it looks like it's covering the whole thing. And we're going to hit Control K. That'll bring up your URL box, and we're going to click Slides in this presentation and link it to slide 1. Click Apply, and that way if they click any of the background space, it'll keep you right on this gym slide. Okay, from here, I want to add another picture. I want to put a little kind of waving Bitmoji and a call out right here to welcome people to the gym. So let's go to Drive again, go to the Bitmojis, and I have my Bitmojis in here labeled, and I'm going to drag this in. It's pretty big, so you're going to need to resize this so it's a little bit smaller. There's a couple ways you can get your Bitmojis. You can use the Chrome extension, and from there that would show up kind of where your extensions are on the top. I can't actually have that on my work computer, but you use that. There's a little search box you can use, and then you'll right click and save those as a PNG so that it has a transparent background, or you can do it on your phone in the Bitmoji app. You tap the pictures and you can choose how to save and send those to yourself so you can get them into your drive. I also want to put a drop shadow on this. So I'm going to go to Format Options, and I like the way that looks. It gives it a little bit more depth. And I do want to link this to the first slide as well, so if somebody clicks that by accident. So let's do Control K and slide 1, and there we go. All right, now I want to put a little message in here, so I'm going to insert a shape, go to the callouts, and I like the rounded one, so let's go ahead and put that in there. Kind of make it a little bit big. You can use the arrows to move it around. And let's go ahead and remove this for now, just so it's out of the way. Okay, so this diamond shape right here above the cursor, I'm going to drag that so that it looks like I'm actually saying what's in the callout. I want to make this not transparent. I want to add a gradient to the background, so I'm going to use this blue one right here. And from here, you can double click and it'll bring up a cursor so that you can start typing. I want this to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to put 20 size font. I want the font to be white so it's a little bit easier to read. And I also want it to stand out. So I'm going to put bold on that. And I'm going to say, welcome to the virtual gym. Fix this typo. And say, click a Bitmoji or equipment to see the activities. All right, nice and easy. And I'll add a drop shadow to this as well. So right click, format options, and I like to put the drop shadow on there. All right. Okay, so from here, I also want to make this linked to slide 1 if somebody ends up clicking that by accident, and that way everything kind of keeps you where you want to be. All right, so now we need to add some Bitmojis. So let's go up to Insert again, go to Image, Drive, and let's start with basketball. So I'm going to drag this over, and again, we're going to need to resize this so that it is the correct shape, correct size. When you're putting these on here to make it kind of look more natural, the farther away in the gym it is, the smaller you make it. The closer it is, the bigger you make it. Don't make it too small though, because you want it to stand out. I want to make it look like he is kind of jumping from the free throw line. For some reason, slide 1 is getting stuck on there. Let's remove that. You can use the arrows to move it. You can click and drag. And if you hold Shift and use the arrows, it kind of just moves in smaller increments. All right, so I kind of like that size. Looks like I'm trying to dunk from the free throw line. I like that. And so now we're good. I do want to add a drop shadow, so I'm going to go to Format Options. And it's got the drop shadow already in there. Perfect. Okay, now what I want to happen is when they click on this Bitmoji, it needs to pull up some basketball resources and activities. So I'm going to actually make another slide that will come up when they choose that. You can have the Bitmojis or the equipment link to PDFs or YouTube videos, other websites, whatever you want. But this is going to go to another basketball slide. So we need to create that. So let's go ahead and click New Slide. And I want the background to match my callout bubble to kind of keep with the same theme. So go to Gradient, I'm going to match that. Click Done. You can do it however you really want. And we'll put Basketball Activities as a title. I like it to be bold and I want it to be centered. So let's go ahead and center that. I also want this to be white font. And we're good. Okay. Now we need to add some buttons. I like to add the buttons so that you click those and it pulls up the resource of whatever you're using. We're actually going to use a video for YouTube. So let's go ahead and add in another shape. And we're going to go here, kind of like the rounded. And let's go ahead and add that in. So that looks pretty good size. I like to get it right in there. You can leave it white, or for me, I'm going to actually change this background color to another gradient, and I want it to be green for this one. Okay. I'm going to add a drop shadow to that as well. So I'm going to go to Format Options. Kind of makes it look more like a button. And that little shadow there is kind of nice. All right, so I'm going to double click in this, and I'm going to just type in whatever the activity name is. So for this one, it's going to be Knockout. The font is too small. It's not centered, so let's go ahead and highlight that. And let's just make this 20. I also want it to be white font. Makes it a little bit easier to read. And let's bold. And let's make it centered. Okay. Okay, so for your font, here your alignment, and then you can also choose to have it at the top or in the middle. I like everything to be kind of centered and even, so I have this one selected right here. And we are going to need to link this now. All right, so we're going to go to Control K in just a moment, but first we need to go here and copy our video. So this is a knockout video from CJ McCollum, and he kind of describes and shows you how to play knockout. So we have that copied. Control K, and we're going to paste that in there and apply. Okay, so you can see how that pulls it up there. And then for any other basketball activities, I want everything to be even. I would copy and paste another button and kind of even it out. All right, you're not going to use the same title and the same link, so you can, remove the link, put in another title. So if we were going to do like around the world, label that, and then you can link it to around the world for them to watch. We also need to make sure that we have a go back button so that they can get back to the gym. So let's go ahead and make one of those, and let's insert another picture. And I'm going to use the same gym picture that we used for the first slide. And we need to make this much smaller than it already is. So let's go ahead and just shrink that down. I'm going to stick this in the corner. And I'm going to put a drop shadow on this because I like the way that looks. Format options, drop shadow. And then we're going to add text to this that kind of gives the directions to click here to go back to the gym. And we are going to click the text box and click and drag on top of the picture. And we can work on centering this in just a second. I want the font to be white. It makes it a little bit easier. And we're going to add a drop shadow to the font as well. And I want this to be centered so that it looks good. And let's go ahead and put it right in the middle. So I'm going to say click to go back to gym. Let's make this bold. And let's right click and go to format options and give it a drop shadow. And it just kind of gives it a little bit of depth and texture so that it's easier to read. And let's make sure that this is centered. There we go. You can see the red crosshairs there. That means it's centered on that picture. And now we need to link it to the first slide. So let's Control K, slides in the presentation, slide 1, and apply. Okay. So now that'll go to slide 1. That'll go to slide 1. Okay. We want to also add another transparent rectangle to this. So I kind of forgot to do that in the beginning. But for that rectangle, we want it to stay on slide number 2. So we are going to add that rectangle to go to the shapes. And let's just cover the whole thing. And there we go. So let's make it transparent. And there we go. So let's Control K, slides. And remember, we want to make it the same slide. So let's go to basketball activities. That way, if they click in the middle or any of that dead space that's in here, that background space, it'll keep them right there if they miss clicking on the buttons. Okay. The problem with this right now, though, is that it's over our go back to gym. So we need to reset the order. So let's send this all the way to the back so that it's not covering our other buttons here either. So you're going to right click and order, send to the back, send to back. Okay, and that way all the other ones that are on top of that, you can click those and it'll keep you right where you want to be. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to our first slide where the gym is, because we need to link our Bitmoji to that basketball slide. So let's Control K, slides in this presentation, slide 2, and click apply. So now when they are in the presentation mode, when they click this Bitmoji, it'll bring them to this slide. All right, so let's go ahead and test out our presentation and make sure everything is working the way we want it to work. And so we're going to click present. Okay, let's test out that transparent background to make sure it keeps us here. It does. Let's make sure this one does. Good. Good. Those all are working. So now, if we did it correctly, we click this Bitmoji, it'll bring us to the basketball slide. And it does. Perfect. Okay. So we'll click knockout. Around the world is not active yet. We don't have anything in there. If we click go back to gym, that'll bring us back to the gym. Perfect. All right, so let's click back. If we click knockout, that should pull up the YouTube video. And it does. Awesome. Okay. Now the arrows will still work. if they hit the arrow buttons, there's not really any way to disable that feature, that function. But at least, if they click background, right, we put that transparent on there, that is keeping us right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and escape. So that's pretty much it. You'll add in your Bitmojis and your pictures. It's for when you're getting pictures of equipment. If you Google image search and put PNG with your search, that will hopefully find you some transparent backgrounds. It's kind of tough to get really good pictures like that. If you know how to use Photoshop, you can Photoshop out the white background if you know how to do that. But that's pretty much it. So anything you want to have linked to a new slide, you click it, hit Control K. If you want it to be linked to a YouTube video, same thing, Control K, and paste in your YouTube video, and then you are all set. So to share this, you need to make sure that your share settings are set so that anybody with the link can view it, or set it to public. And I'm going to publish this to the web. And when I publish this to the web, I'm going to use that link to share, so that when people click it, it pulls them right into the presentation mode. It won't pull them into this editing mode. And I'll also show you how to embed that if you're using a website. So you're going to go to File, go to Publish to the Web. And once you click Publish, you'll see some different options. So let's click Publish, click OK. And so here's your link. So this is the link that I would send out to parents or post it. And when they click that, it'll pull it up so that it brings them right to the presentation mode. To embed, you just go to the Embed tab, copy this HTML code, and then you'll post that on your website or wherever you want to embed it. You can change the size. You can also mess with the size in the actual code if you want to, once you get it on there. And that is pretty much it. One tip for viewing the presentation on mobile: sometimes the embedded version doesn't look so nice and you can't see the whole thing. So I always include a link, a direct link. So this one right here to the presentation, so that if you're on mobile, you click that and it will just pull it up in a new page to the presentation, so that you're not missing anything. All right. So that's pretty much how you do it. You can use any background. I kind of plan on using this during the school year, actually, for additional resources for parents and kids to use outside of class, and maybe make it a little bit more specific to each unit or skill that we're working on. And I think it's a pretty cool way to have the kids be a little bit interactive, but also stay connected to the school. All right, so if you have any questions, you can shoot me a message, and I hope this is useful for you.